Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something that's really changing things fast, how we see ourselves, the world, our relationship with artificial intelligence.
Right.
But here's the twist. We're focusing on the impact of this, let's call it robotic AI, but without necessarily needing, physical robots walking around.
Exactly. We're looking straight at how the idea of these intelligent systems and just interacting with them more and more is making us rethink some really basic things about being human.
Yeah.
It's like exploring the philosophical ripples, the effects across different fields that AI is causing, even when it's not in a metal body.
And we know you want to get a good handle on this, and fast. So our mission here is to pull out the really crucial stuff from a whole range of sources. We're talking philosophy, tech, psychology, even how AI might be changing how we think about time itself.
Yeah.
Get ready for some, hopefully, real aha moments as we dig into how AI is challenging some of those beliefs we've held for a long time.
Okay, let's dive right in then. It can be helpful to start with that distinction between AI and robotics. People sometimes use the body and mind analogy.
Right. Robotics is the body, AI is the mind.
Exactly. Robotics is the physical machine doing the tasks. AI is the algorithms, the software that lets machines think or learn. But even if we set aside the physical robots for this discussion, the potential for them to combine creates this synthetic agency.
Synthetic agency.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting, because even just the concept of an AI controlling, say, our power grid or financial markets, that raises massive questions about who's responsible, what the impact is, even if there isn't a single physical robot involved in that specific scenario.
That makes a lot of sense. So if AI is the mind, how does its thinking really stack up against human thinking? What makes us different?
Well, human thinking is this incredibly rich mix, isn't it? We rely heavily on intuition. Emotions play a huge role in our decisions. And we have this deep, deep understanding of context from, just living.
Years of experience.
Exactly. Plus, we have subjective experience, that feeling of what it's like to see red or feel joy. Qualia, they call it. And maybe most importantly, we know we're mortal. We know our time is limited. And that shapes everything, meaning purpose.
That awareness of finitude. Okay, so where does AI come up short then?
AI thinks by crunching just vast amounts of data. It's amazing at finding patterns, applying logic based on that data, but it struggles with true strategic planning in novel situations. It doesn't possess genuine emotional intelligence, and it lacks that kind of gut-level grasp of the real world we have.
Right.
And this leads to something really critical called the calibration gap.
Calibration gap. Okay, what's that?
It's basically our human tendency to overestimate how accurate or reliable AI actually is, especially with things like large language models. They can sound incredibly confident, really authoritative.
Even when they're wrong.
Totally wrong sometimes. And what's fascinating is research shows that even the length of an AI's explanation can trick us. A longer, more detailed answer feels more convincing, even if it's no more accurate. It's a kind of psychological blind spot we really need to watch out for. Someone might trust an AI's financial advice just because it presented a long, plausible-sounding report, even if the underlying logic is flawed.
That's a really crucial point for you listening to keep in mind. Don't just assume it's right because it sounds smart or talks a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another fundamental difference is how AI processes time. For an AI, time is often just a series of discrete timestamps, like data points, snapshots.
Whereas for us,
it's continuous, a flow. The past bleeds into the present, shapes our future expectations. It's linear, experiential. This difference means AI might see patterns in complex systems we miss, but it also highlights just how differently its mind works. Like watching a movie, we experience the flow, the narrative, and AI might just see a sequence of separate frames.
Okay, so we've got some basics down. Why are we even pushing this understanding with AI? You mentioned some core human desires earlier.
Yeah, exactly. The drive behind a lot of AI development really comes down to these deep-seated human wishes. Relief from pain, longer life, wealth, health, just a better quality of life overall.
So it's part of that long human quest.
Precisely. Technology has always been aimed at these goals, hasn't it? AI is just the latest and most powerful tool in that quest. Think about AI in medicine, analyzing huge data sets to spot diseases earlier, tailoring treatments to your specific genes.
Personalized medicine.
Right. Predicting how you'll respond to a drug, speeding up the discovery of new cures. It's all aimed at helping us live longer, healthier lives.
So ideally, the goal is human flourishing. making life better.
That's the philosophical hope, yes. You could see it as part of the grand experiment of life itself. Ethically, the goal should be AI contributing to human well-being. But, and this is the big but, we need careful ethical frameworks to make sure progress doesn't trample other important values.
Right. Okay, let's broaden out then. How is this interaction actually affecting things like, well, our sense of time, history, even our biology?
Well, we touched on time perception, AI's discrete view versus our continuous one. That difference could genuinely unlock new ways to analyze really complex systems, seeing patterns we just can't perceive easily. And historically speaking, AI is just weaving itself into daily life incredibly fast. Personal assistants, news feeds, recommendation engines. It's reshaping whole industries, boosting efficiency. But like we said, the benefits aren't evenly distributed. There's a real danger of widening that digital divide.
And you mentioned genetics and biology sounds like a massive shift there.
Oh, it's absolutely revolutionary. AI can process medical data on a scale humans just get. Genetics, lifestyle factors, medical images to create treatments tailored right down to the individual.
So predicting responses, finding markers.
Exactly. Finding new biomarkers for diseases much earlier, drastically speeding up drug discovery. And we're even seeing things like AI Hilbert.
The AI scientist you mentioned.
Yeah, essentially an AI that acts like a research partner, generating new mathematical equations, discovering potential links in the universe, things human scientists might just miss. It's like AI is becoming an augmentation of the scientific method itself. Imagine it spotting a tiny correlation in millions of patient records that points to a new treatment pathway.
Wow, okay. An AI scientist, that's
Yeah.
quite something. Now, how is all this filtering into more abstract areas, like philosophy, physics, math, logic?
This is where we see what some are calling a philosophical rupture. The very existence of capable AI forces us to question human exceptionalism, that idea that we're unique in our intelligence.
Right.
It pushes us to reevaluate basic concepts. Agency, creativity, consciousness, even what knowledge fundamentally is. It's not just about AI copying us, it's about a potential multiplication of intelligence, different kinds of intelligence emerging.
So philosophy isn't just watching from the sidelines, it's getting involved in development.
Very much so. Philosophical frameworks, epistemology, how we know things, ontology, the nature of being, teleology, purpose. These are increasingly influencing how AI systems are designed to build. People are intentionally trying to encode these principles.
Interesting. And in physics and math, you mentioned AI Hilbert.
Right. AI's superpower there is processing unbelievable amounts of data. It can find patterns, derive models, maybe even discover new physical laws that are hidden from human analysis alone. AI Hilbert is one example. In particle physics, AI is crucial for sifting through the terabytes of data generated by colliders every second. It can access logical structures in that data that are simply beyond human cognitive limits.
Incredible. So AI's reasoning process is fundamentally different from ours.
Yes, very different. AI reasoning is typically built on structured data, algorithms, logic chains. It's fantastic at correlation, but lacks our intuitive grasp, our ability to draw on senses, emotions, lived experience. Now, some AI can show its workings, its chain of thought, which helps transparency, but human reasoning often involves these intuitive leaps, analogies, subconscious processing. It's much less explicit, much harder for AI to mirror directly. It's more complementary, really. AI's scale and speed, plus human insight and creativity, that's powerful.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to something probably hitting closer to home for everyone listening. How is AI messing with our state of mind, our beliefs?
Yeah, this is where it can get really subtle, almost invisible. AI-driven personalization is everywhere, right? Social media feeds, shopping recommendations, news articles.
The algorithms.
Exactly. These algorithms are constantly learning our preferences, our behaviors, and they tailor what we see. This shapes our reality, what we consume, what we believe, often without us even consciously registering it's happening.
You mean like the filter bubbles and echo chambers we hear about?
Precisely. Algorithms often prioritize engagement, right? Stuff that gets clicks and shares. And often that means amplifying content that's sensational, emotionally charged, or just confirms what we already think, confirmation bias.
So it feeds us more of what we like or what gets a reaction?
Yeah, and this constant reinforcement can create those echo chambers where we rarely encounter opposing views. It makes it harder to evaluate information critically and can subtly shift our opinions and beliefs over time, making us more entrenched.
And it's not just beliefs, it's our social interactions too.
That's a really big area of concern and research. On the one hand, you hear about AI companions potentially reducing loneliness, maybe for older adults, but there's a flip side.
Which is?
The risk of social withdrawal. People might become emotionally dependent on AI because it's always agreeable, always available. That's not like real human relationships, which are complex, sometimes difficult. There's a worry about empathy atrophy. Our ability to connect with and understand other humans might weaken if we lean too heavily on AI for emotional support.
What about our actual cognitive abilities, our thinking skills?
Well, we're seeing a boom in AI tools designed for cognitive enhancement. Personalized learning apps, neurofeedback systems, cognitive assistants that help with memory or decision-making.
So they can help us?
They certainly can. They can help manage information overload, summarize complex topics, maybe even optimize focus. But there's that counter concern, the risk of cognitive de-skilling. Some researchers are worried about a kind of self-inflicted AI dementia.
Wow, that's a strong term.
It is, but the idea is if we constantly outsource our thinking, navigation, remembering things, even making minor decisions, do our own cognitive muscles weaken? Do we lose the ability to think deeply, critically, independently? It's a real question.
It's almost like you said earlier, AI becomes a kind of belief machine, structuring and maybe validating our thoughts.
That's a really good way to frame it. AI excels at clustering information, finding patterns, highlighting consistency. That can support how we form and value our beliefs. The key, though, is combining that AI capability with our own critical thinking, our own reflection, to make sure it's actually helping us understand, not just confirming biases.
Okay, let's zoom out again. How are these individual impacts playing out on a bigger societal scale? How's the world reacting?
Well, individually, AI undoubtedly boosts efficiency. Decision-making can seem faster, productivity goes up in many jobs. Think personalized nudges, recommendations. They tap into our cognitive shortcuts.
But the downside
is that risk of over-reliance we just talked about. Cognitive atrophy, maybe even an illusion of choice where algorithms subtly guide us, potentially reducing our real autonomy, our sense of control.
And communication between people, how's that changing?
AI is creeping in there too. Tools for writing emails, translation. It can make communication more efficient, maybe more direct, but there's a potential loss of emotional nuance, the subtleties of human interaction. Interestingly, some studies suggest that if people think they're talking to an AI, they perceive the conversation as less cooperative, less warm.
So what's the general vibe globally? Excitement, fear, both?
Definitely both. A real mix. Experts see huge potential boosting curiosity, learning, problem-solving, scientific discovery. Massive upsides.
But also worries.
Big worries about the impact on social skills, emotional intelligence, empathy, moral judgment, our general well-being, our sense of agency, even our core identity. The consensus seems to be that we're heading for some really profound changes in human abilities, maybe by 2035 or even sooner.
And that persistent issue of fairness, of who benefits.
It keeps coming up because it's critical. The benefits of AI are not being shared equally. It's widening the digital divide, potentially making existing inequalities worse. This underscores why we urgently need inclusive policies, thoughtful regulation, to ensure AI serves everyone, not just the privileged few.
We are seeing attempts at regulation, right, like in the EU.
Yes, globally there's a growing awareness. The EU AI Act, the AI Bill of Rights framework in the countries and regions are grappling with how to set guardrails. It shows a recognition that this isn't just a tech issue, it's deeply societal and moral.
Which leads us neatly into the ethical minefield. What are the big ethical challenges we need to grapple with here?
Well, maybe the core challenge is just societal acceptability. How do we ensure AI's impact aligns with our moral values and political considerations? That's huge.
And bias is a major one, right?
Right.
AI reflecting societal biases.
Absolutely critical. AI models learn from data. And if that data reflects existing biases, racial, gender, whatever, the AI will often learn and even amplify those biases. We see this in hiring algorithms, loan applications, facial recognition, leading to unfair outcomes.
So the fix involves better data.
Better, more diverse, more representative data is crucial. Plus, building fairness considerations right into the AI development process itself. But it's complex. Then there's transparency and accountability.
The black box problem.
Exactly. If we don't understand how an AI reaches a decision, especially if it causes harm, who's responsible? It relates back to that calibration gap, too. If we don't understand its limits, we can't hold it properly accountable.
And the impact on our own choices, our autonomy.
A major ethical concern. The risk of over-reliance, that illusion of choice we talked about. Does AI subtly manipulate our decisions? Does it lead to de-skilling where we lose abilities? Does it diminish our self-determination? These are fundamental questions about what it means to be human.
And then there are really stark areas like warfare.
Yes. The ethics of autonomous weapons are incredibly troubling. Questions about moral agency: can a machine make life or death decisions? Accountability: who's responsible if an autonomous drone makes a mistake? Does it lower the threshold for conflict because the human cost feels removed? And again, the black box issue: if we don't know why it fired, how can we ensure it follows the laws of war?
Privacy and security must be huge, too, given the data AI needs.
Massive. AI systems often require vast amounts of personal data to function effectively. How is that data collected, stored, used? Is it secure? And there's the potential for AI to exploit our known cognitive biases for manipulation, targeted advertising taken to an extreme, or political disinformation campaigns.
So it seems like there's a growing consensus on some core ethical principles we need.
There is. Things like non-maleficence, do no harm, responsibility, transparency, justice and fairness, respect for human rights and autonomy. These principles are appearing in guidelines all over the world. The challenge is putting them into practice effectively.
Okay, so given all these challenges and impacts, what can we actually do? How can we improve things or mitigate the risks?
A lot revolves around enhancing that human-AI collaboration and understanding. Transparency is key, pushing for explainable AI or XAI.
So we can see why the AI decided something.
Exactly. It helps tackle the black box problem, bridges that calibration gap. If you understand how it works, at least somewhat, you can better judge its reliability.
Makes sense.
And keeping humans in charge. Human-in-the-loop, or AI-in-the-loop policies are vital, especially for high-stakes decisions. AI assists, humans decide.
Right. Don't just hand over the keys completely.
Precisely.
Right.
And we need concrete strategies for tackling bias, diversifying data sets, actively building fairness metrics into the models, auditing them regularly.
What about using AI to help us develop our skills? You mentioned emotional intelligence earlier.
Yeah, I think there's potential there. Imagine AI tools that help us track our own emotional states, maybe simulations for practicing difficult conversations, personalized learning platforms that don't just teach facts, but also foster critical thinking, using AI to cultivate our humanity, not diminish it.
And on the governance side, those ethical frameworks.
We need to move beyond just listing principles. Ideas like philosophical playbooks or value-sensitive design try to intentionally embed ethical values and philosophical considerations right into the AI's architecture from the start.
So building ethics in, not just bolting it on afterward.
That's the goal. And being really vigilant about protecting autonomy. AI systems shouldn't be deceptive, shouldn't manipulate behavior in harmful ways. User rights need to be paramount. And underpinning all of this is education.
AI literacy.
Critically important. Starting from a young age, we need to empower everyone to understand AI, engage with it critically, use it responsibly. It shouldn't just be something for the experts.
Are there specific areas where AI shows particular promise for helping with human problems if used carefully?
Definitely. Addiction treatment is one. AI can analyze data to find patterns, predict relapse risk, help tailor interventions, even provide interactive support tools.
Mental health, too.
Huge potential there. AI-driven apps offering real-time support, mood tracking, delivering evidence-based techniques like CBT. Emotion AI, if developed ethically, could even potentially help foster deeper understanding or connection in therapy contexts, though that's sensitive territory.
Interesting.
We're also seeing frameworks like an AI hierarchy of needs being proposed, thinking strategically about how organizations can use AI not just for profit, but for sustainable value, tackling global challenges. And even in difficult areas like understanding conflict or aggression, AI might offer insights through analyzing patterns, maybe detecting extremist ideologies online via language processing.
Though obviously with massive ethical caveats there.
Massive ethical caveats, absolutely. Risk assessment using AI is fraught with potential for bias and misuse. Needs extreme caution.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the single most important thing you want people to take away about this human-AI relationship right now?
I think the core thing is that the understanding is really asymmetrical right now. Humans and AI have very different strengths, very different weaknesses, and that calibration gap, our tendency to over-trust AI, especially confident-sounding LLMs, that's something you really need to be actively aware of in your own interactions.
Right. Be skeptical, basically.
Be discerning. And what are the key steps forward?
Yeah. What should we be focusing on?
Well, it really boils down to a few key things. Designing AI with human well-being genuinely at the center, promoting widespread AI literacy, establishing robust, adaptable ethical guidelines and regulations, fostering collaboration across disciplines, techies, ethicists, psychologists, philosophers, everyone, and applying AI cautiously and thoughtfully, especially in areas touching human well-being.
So the future isn't just about building smarter and smarter machines.
Not at all. It's maybe more about us, humans, becoming smarter and more intentional about how we guide AI's development and integration into our lives.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the real question is whether we have the wisdom and foresight to steer AI in a direction that genuinely leads to a more informed, more ethical, and ultimately more flourishing human existence. It really prompts you to think about your own role in this ongoing evolution, doesn't it? And maybe look deeper into some of those ethical frameworks being hammered out right now.
This is DigitView.